look at this game as the game they must win. This is a Maryland team that has been struggling, as you mentioned, coming off a really bad loss. They'll look at this game as one they need to get after.
We are underway in College Park. Ludwig Field is the site for this Sunday afternoon matchup between Maryland and Minnesota. So glad you could join us here on Big Ten Plus. The Terps will be in the all-white uniforms this afternoon, going from left to right. And in Minnesota in their classic colors, going from right to left. Minnesota looking to get an early opening attack on the afternoon, but it's won back by the Terrapins, and it goes back to the goalie Maddie Smith, the senior from Omaha, Nebraska. Here's Sydney Urban for the Terrapins, a giveaway, and Minnesota looks to come the other way, but this will go across the end line for a Maryland goal kick. We'll take a look at the starting lineups. As we mentioned, for Maryland, in the cage is Maddie Smith. Across the back line, Amanda Schaefer, Sydney Urban, Malika Days, and Tahira Turnage. In the midfield for the Terps will be Ava Morales, Julie Lynch, Mia Isaac, Michaela Days, Alyssa Porch playing advanced in front of them, and Alina Stahl will lead the line. And Josh, an interesting change to that lineup for Maryland. No Catherine DeRosa, affectionately known as Bootsy, on the Terrapins. She had started 13 games coming into this matchup today, but she finds herself out of the starting lineup, perhaps some rotation. Unclear what the reason is, but Ava Morales comes in her stead.
Yeah, two different players. DeRosa, a little bit more of a technical player, not as quick, but really well versed on the ball and able to play with the ball at her feet. And Morales just gives you that little boost of energy, that little bit of extra pace out on this right-hand side.
The Golden Gophers in possession now on the right-hand side of the field. And it's quickly won back by Maryland for going out for a throw-in. For Minnesota, in the cage is Megan Plashko. Across the back line, it's Elena Dressley, Elizabeth Overberg, Gabby Cesaroni, and Abby Franzen. In the midfield, Sophia Bowman, the aforementioned, Amelia Brown, Sophia Romine as well. And the front three is Megan Gray, McKenna Beisman, and Sadie Harper. The Terps look to charge forward here. Taken back inside by Amanda Schaefer. Finds herself at the right back spot today. Such a versatile player, Schaefer, the transfer from Rhode Island. Maybe one of the most two-footed players in the Big Ten Conference. Here's Stahl, who lays it off. An early ball forward, trying to find Porch, but it's cut out in the back by Overberg. That's Tahira Turnage, who made the tackle on the far side for Maryland. She'd missed the last couple games and returned in the last match against Ohio State. She was out due to injury, but Coach Nemser will be very pleased to have her back in the starting lineup.
Coach Nemser loves her versatility. Just like Schaefer can play on the left or right side, and also a big threat on set pieces.
So Maryland will have the throw-in from the far side. As you can see, that knee brace on Turnage, the freshman from Alexandria, Virginia. Golden Gophers win it back high up the field now. Looks to play centrally and then work it out to the left-hand side, but it's taken back by Maryland. Bit of a heavy touch there that was going to be difficult for Stahl. And now a foot race down the near sideline is won by Maryland and Malika Days. Given away at the back again. And that one goes across the touchline. It'll be a Minnesota throw-in. Taken by Elena Dressley, the graduate senior captain. Missed all of last season due to injury, but has come back and really been a force for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Starting all 16 games so far and adding a goal and assist from her left back spot.
And that's one thing you'll notice from both teams today. Both teams will play with their fullbacks getting high up the pitch. You'll see Schaefer for the Terrapins back and forth and back and forth.
That really is kind of the modern game, you know, and you've seen that at the professional level for a few years now, and it always feels like kind of those tactical trends and stuff that are used at the highest levels, you know, after a year or two, maybe three, kind of trickle down into the college game and things like that. So you're right, Josh, having those advanced fullbacks really kind of that trend of modern football nowadays. Flag is up on the far side for offside against Minnesota. So Maryland will have the restart. 5 minutes gone here from Ludwig Field. No clear-cut chances for either side so far. This ball goes out right near the Maryland bench, and the throw will be taken by Schaefer. Here's Ava Morales. Now Stahl. Tries to cut it back, keeps it in, does well in the middle of the park. Lays it off for Julie Lynch. Slaloms her way through the midfield. Plays it out to the near side. Porch in pursuit, but just a bit too heavy on the feed from Lynch.
It's good work from Lynch in the midfield, being able to beat one or two men. Just like to see that pass have a little more quality on it, get Porch on that wing isolated against her fullback.
Ball into the box, trying to get under. It was Michaela Days. It goes out for another Maryland throw-in. Stahl takes it off the midriff. Now Morales getting her first career start in college. The freshman from Clarksville, Maryland, and Atholton High School in Howard County. Little clip of the heel there against Schaefer, and she will be whistled for that. And it'll come back the other way. Bit of a feeling out process in the early stages of this one. Neither team really able to keep consistent possession, get any clear-cut chances, and it's only a few minutes gone, but you look at these two teams, and that does kind of feel representative of where they might fall in the Big Ten standings right now. That ball over the top, trying to find the foot of Sadie Harper.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, just kind of feeling it out, and Minnesota probably coming to this game saying, okay, no matter what, we cannot lose. Losing would put us in an awful spot.
Right.
You'd think the Terps would be a little bit more so attacking and forward-thinking, knowing that they have to win this game probably to stay in contention for a playoff spot and probably win out the rest of the season. So you'd think, as this game carries on, we'll start to see them press a little bit more forward.
Dressley and Stahl battling for it on the near side. Overberg comes out on top for the Golden Gophers. Now driving forward is Bowman. Trying to take on Mia Isaac. It rolls out to the near side for Sadie Harper. Now Beisman towards the back post, and that one sails over everybody and goes out for a Maryland goal kick. You look at this front three for Minnesota, and they're very versatile. There's a lot of freedom between that front three of Gray, Beisman, and Harper. You kind of see Harper start on the right, then there was that ball through the middle, and then she picks up the ball on the left-hand side. How do you think Maryland's defense, because there's some new faces, coming back from injury, stuff like that, how do you think they're going to be able to handle that free-flowing attack?
Well, when you're dealing with a three-headed monster that can kind of go around and shift wherever they want, it's key to communicate. The center backs are going to have to communicate when those wide players are tucking in, when the 9 drags out wide, so it's all about communication.
It is interesting because you look at those front three players, there's only 2 goals on the season between all 3 of them. A lot of these goals have been coming from Minnesota's midfield and Izzy Brown off the bench for Minnesota as well. But it is kind of that dynamic that you see, again, talking about just modern trends and the game of having that free-flowing front three and those midfielders really charging on and getting on the end of some of that attacking play.
Well, I think that shows what happens not only when you have quality players, but you have a coach who exudes confidence in you as well. When a coach tells you, I trust you guys enough where you can flow around and whatever you feel is right, you can go do.
That head coach, Erin Chastain, as we mentioned, her 2nd season in charge of Minnesota. School where she holds several records as a player. We'll have more on her in a little bit as Maryland has the free kick delivered into the box. Just barely gets towards the top of it, and Minnesota will look to clear under the heavy pressure by the Terrapins. And a foot race, 15 on 15, as McKenna Beisman chases this one down into the corner. Days recovers very well, wins the tackle. And then almost giveaway at the back by Maryland. Days did so well, and it was almost all for naught. And that will be a foul on Minnesota in the far corner as Days took a bit of a kick. But Maryland escapes unscathed. Nervy moments in the back, though.
Yeah, trying to play out of the back there, and that's just one of those moments when you wonder if you have the ball this deep in your own third, when is it time to just swing your foot through the ball and either kick it out for a throw or try and get it somewhat up the field. Right here, there's really no reason to be playing around with it in your own 18.
It's just a heavy touch by Schaefer that couldn't quite get it out cleanly. And that was Sophia Romine who caused the foul. So Smith plays this one long down the left-hand side. And picked up again by Minnesota. One runner in the box, a late run coming from the Golden Gophers. There's the hit, and there's the goal. A stunning finish by Minnesota to open the game. A gorgeous strike left Maryland confused at the back. A beautiful ball down the right-hand side, crossed in and tucked away cleanly. And if you're the Minnesota Golden Gophers, you really could not ask for a more beautiful goal to open this game.
Yeah, when we see this ball come in, you're just wondering, there's only one man in the box. Who's it going to go to? And then you see this late run from Sophia Bowman, and she catches it, or pardon me, it's Sophia Romine, who catches it so cleanly on her left foot, leaving Maddie Smith absolutely no chance.
A first-time finish of the highest quality from Sophia Romine, her third goal of the season. And Erin Chastain has to be pleased with that. You will see that goal again and again and again.
It's just such a difficult technique, isn't it? Catching that one on the full volley while it's still in the air. Just absolutely quality finishing from the Golden Gophers.
A golden finish. So Maryland looks to respond now in an early hole, about 10 minutes gone in the first half. As we mentioned, Sophia Romine getting her third goal of the campaign. It's those dueling Sophias in the midfield for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, Bowen and Romine. 9 and 8 respectively. They both pop up with a good number of goals like we talked about, kind of that late surge from the midfield, which is exactly how that play developed. So Maryland has to throw in on the near side as Minnesota has to do some defending now. Here's Stahl towards the end line. That one's blocked out for a throw-in the near side corner. Schaefer to take into the foot of Porch. Haven't said her name too much today. And this one will trickle across the touchline. So, Josh, if you're Maryland now, obviously, you know, the next step is get a goal. But how do they kind of combat that low block that Minnesota's been playing a little bit once Maryland pushes forward?
It's all about patience now for the Terps. You want to be able to get this goal back as quickly as possible, as we're going to see Lynch play a ball into the path of Alyssa Porch, who might be in.
Porch tries to cut it back. The flag was up on the near side, a late flag as well, but that's maybe a bit more of the idea if they are playing that low block. How can you get in behind them?
Yeah, now it's all about, you know, playing direct, but not playing over direct in the sense that you want to look for the goal, but you don't want to force anything. You don't want to be so forceful as we're going to see a stoppage here from the referee.
It's just so that we can get a little shoe tied here. You know, as a goalkeeper, it is very difficult to tie those shoelaces with those gloves on. So the referee kind of doing the right thing and just stopping the clock so that, you know, we can get that sorted out for Megan Plashko. And then the ensuing goal kick, perhaps that shoe tied a little too tightly, goes out on the near side. Here's Schaefer. That one's stolen away, and Minnesota will look to come the other way. Good turn there by Sadie Harper. Throw-in after throw-in on this near side. It's Dressley, a long one that time. Schaefer heads it into her own bench. And the Golden Gophers will move up the field just a bit. Dressley does it again. Weissman in pursuit, but Days will try to shield this one out. It did take her foot, so she'll now need to play it. She attempts to dribble out of pressure. Always dangerous in your own half, but goes back to Smith. Is able to pass it all the way out to the sideline. Intended target was Turnage. Now Minnesota applying the pressure once again. And the referee waves off the penalty claims there for Minnesota. Here's Dressley. Takes it first time back into the center. Mia Isaac doing the defending for Maryland. Here's Dressley again. Clips it towards the top of the box. It goes to the far side. Megan Gray is there for the Golden Gophers. Turnage the defender, and she does well to put that one into touch. Quickly taken by Minnesota. Fizz back into the center. Urban there to get a foot to it. But another dangerous spot. Here's Bowman, left-footed strike, but there was a whistle. And so we'll come back the other way for the Terrapins. Look there at Sophia Bowman, one of those two Sophias in the midfield for Minnesota. We talked about all Big Ten, second team last year as a sophomore for Minnesota. So she has a couple good years left for the Golden Gophers. Smith sends it right down College Park's Route 1. There's one back in the midfield. Here's Days. Tries to feed it into Isaac, but she was under pressure. And Urban will retreat back to her goalkeeper. Schaefer does very well to escape the pressure on the near side. Continues herself. A heavy touch is fortuitous for Morales. And eventually it finds its way back to Sydney Urban. Transfer from Florida. One of many transfers that Coach Nemser brought into the Maryland program for her first year. Always difficult, coming in as a college coach in your first year. Those recruits aren't necessarily yours just yet. You have some players that will transfer out. You get a lot of transfers that come in. And so for Maryland, it's all about, kind of building that dynamic with all these new faces in College Park. Yeah,
and it's not just having new faces and transfers come into the program, but it's transfers who need to play right away.
Right.
You see so many transfers, come to a program, take a year to get adapted to the play style and what the coach wants, but for these transfers, it was thrown right into the thick of it.
Here's Ava Morales. Passes off to Mia Isaac. Now Turnage. Here's Michaela Days on the left-hand side. Days has spent a lot of time on the right wing this season as well, but finds herself on the left today. Her twin sister in a bit of trouble is able to clip it out to the near side. And Julie Lynch is there to battle to keep possession. Urban again. Touch for Maryland into the center, can't quite connect. And, Josh, as we look at Maryland trying to develop their play, it seems like that middle third of the pitch is really giving them some trouble. They're, possessing in the back. They're able to move it around. They're getting some balls over the top, but everything in the center of the park seems to just kind of be a bit of a pass off, a step off for Maryland right now. Yeah,
and I also think it's part of the Gophers press. I think that they know and have realized as soon as that ball gets into that middle third, let's go after the ball. When the ball's in the back line, we can let them play around within the defensive half. We already have our goal. We're already winning this game. They're the ones who need to come to us. But when the ball finds that middle third, they're immediately on it.
And certainly something Maryland can adjust throughout this game as well. You have top quality players in there like Mia Isaac and Julie Lynch as well. Just something that might need a bit of tweaking for Maryland as they go forward. Here's Alina Stahl. Has two runners ahead of her. Porch makes the run down the near side. She elects to go inside to Michaela Days. Days turns upfield and plays out to the left-hand side. Early ball in with the right foot, trying to find the back post run, but Dressley's there to head away for Minnesota. Lynch will pick it up deep in midfield and reset for the Terrapins. Significant turnout of youth soccer players here at Ludwig Field today. They have some inflatable clappers that they're making noise as Maryland's play develops. Always a divisive sound maker, those clappers. You either love them or you hate them. Here's Overberg. Now Gabby Cesaroni, that right-sided center back for Minnesota, who's been so big for them this year on both ends of the field, number 12. We'll have our first sub of the match. It is Maryland. Sophie Venus coming in out of Calabasas, California. She'll come in to replace fellow transfer Elena Stahl. The Gophers pick it up in midfield. A good step there by Schaefer to read that play and intercept. Morales trying to keep it in and does so well. Drops it back to Malike Days. Here's Sophie Venus. Tackled out of play, and Maryland will move forward just that little bit. Here's Porch dropping deeper into the midfield to pick up the ball. Julie Lynch now tries to whip that one in, but Dressley's there to block it out of play. Here's Schaefer. Goes back to Lynch. Lynch dancing on the ball against Dressley. Whips that in towards the center. It's headed up by Cesaroni and out towards the far side. Maryland trying to keep possession. Does so. A long distance effort is comfortable in the end by Plashko. Megan Plashko, the reigning Big Ten goalkeeper of the week. A pretty decent move by Maryland.
Yeah, it's the first real clear-cut chance for the Terps, although it is from distance. A good layoff from Morales, and Isaac just tries to put her foot through it and find that far right corner, but easy enough for Pleshko.
It's going to take a lot to beat a goalkeeper of her caliber. Here's Morales. Battle in midfield again. Porch there trying to keep it for the Terrapins. Referee waves off any hint of a foul there, and Porch comes away with it. Here's Michaela Days, the overlap coming from Turnage on the left, but goes forward to Sophie Venus. Bit of a heavy touch there, and Cesaroni puts it out on the far side. Here's Overberg. Great turn there by Bowman to escape pressure. Dressley clips it forward and just a bit too far outside. It goes out of play. Quickly taken, and Venus is shoved from behind, so that will be a foul in favor of the Terrapins. Sophie Venus for Maryland. You know, Coach Nemser perhaps bring her in to provide a bit of a spark. She does have a goal and 2 assists on the season.
Yeah, one of those players that Coach Nemser has constantly brought off the bench is just that spark of energy. Hopefully she can bring it here and give the Terps an equalizer that they're looking for.
Flip towards the center, and again, Plashko comfortable right into the basket. And so, Josh, as we get to the midway point of this first half, Minnesota's up by a goal, a beautiful goal at that. What have you seen from both of these teams in terms of, we talked about how it's kind of a feeling out process in the first couple minutes. How have you seen that develop here in the first half?
Well, I think you've seen it from Maryland's perspective, start with them, that they've played a little bit more of a lower block than they've usually played. When they were playing at home last time, they kind of played a high press and really got after the game today, kind of realizing maybe that Minnesota has that quality in the midfield and not wanting those midfielders to get off the ball, so playing a little lower and marking up on those midfielders. And from Minnesota's standpoint, you kind of see them going after the game a little bit, playing a little bit higher of a line than they usually do, and just playing quality balls through that midfield, trying to get their midfield involved as much as they can, because like we've mentioned, the midfielders are the players who are scoring the goals, not necessarily the forwards. The forwards are playing well, holding up the ball, laying it back to the midfielders, putting quality service into the box, and letting the midfielders do the work, putting the ball in the back of the net.
Has been a fascinating game that I'm sure will develop more and more as we go. And that ball by Plashko a bit too wide. And it goes back to Maryland. It's been a bit of a disjointed first half as well. I feel like we've had a lot of throw-ins, a lot of fouls, free kicks, goal kicks, things like that. That's kind of seemed to slow the tempo down. Do you think that works in favor of Minnesota or Maryland? Neither, both?
Well, I think now that it's a 1-0 game, I think it favors the team that's winning, which would be Minnesota. If this was a 0-0 game, I would say it'd benefit Maryland because they're kind of used to that sometimes slow, methodical play and then getting after it on the counterattack a little bit. But now that they're losing, you'd want to speed up the game a little bit and get after it.
Here's Ava Morales. Tries to paint the line for Sophie Venus, but Overberg is in pursuit, and we'll get there first. She goes back to Plashko. Here's Gabby Cesaroni. We talked about how big she has been for Minnesota so far this season. She's also the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week last week, along with Plashko. She's a big target on set pieces as well. She scored 5 goals from a center back spot. And that is really something when you think about that, especially in the college game. A lot of them offset pieces as well. Now Maryland looking to find that goal. A good turn there by Lynch, and she is taken down, but the referee waves off no foul. The referee today really allowing both teams to play. I've seen that a couple times now. Here's Urban. Ball over the top for Maryland. In pursuit is Lynch, but the flag is up on the near side. Just a bit too eager on that run. So Plashko again will take the restart from deep in her own half as we tick down to under 20 minutes left in the first half. Both teams have 2 Big Ten games after this, both on the road for both teams. Bit of a collision there, and referee signals for a throw-in. We are going to have a double substitution for Minnesota. Krista Van Loon comes into the game for Minnesota, as does Kaya Harper. Kaya actually replacing her sister. Both Kaya and Sadie from Lino Lakes, Minnesota. Sadie is senior, Kaya a sophomore. Maryland no stranger to having sisters on the team as well, both Malika and Michaela Days. There'll be more on them at halftime, so stick with us for that. Urban doing the defending for Maryland in that far side corner. Goes out for a Minnesota throw-in. Turnage plays it forward. Anywhere will do. Golden Gophers have it again, though. Here's Bowman. Out to the far side. Flag stays down and comfortable in the end for Maddie Smith.
Yeah, good work here from the Gophers, working the ball to that right side where that first goal came from. Just unlucky that the cross was deflected and falls in the grateful arms of Smith.
You do get the feeling, though, that when Minnesota gets it in that attacking third, they are able to do something, and almost something out of nothing. We kind of saw that with the goal a little bit. It was that quick pass, the cross in, first time finish. In Maryland, you kind of saw at the back, they were like, what just happened? A bit caught out.
I think that's why you see...
Ball in behind here for Maryland. Alyssa Porch trying to get on the end of the first time shot, and she buries it. Alyssa Porch levels the game for Maryland. Her third goal of the season, and she beats Minnesota's back line and powers Maryland to a level ball game.
And that's something Coach Nemser has brought in that this team has not had in the past. She has told her teams, don't be afraid. And with our windows open here in the press box, we can constantly hear her saying, up, up, get up, press. And that is something that you want to see if you're a player. You want to be able to play this attacking brand of football, and it pays off right there.
Well, it's funny, we were just talking about how Minnesota, when they get in the final third, it seems like something can come from nothing. And almost kind of the same for Maryland. That quick turnover, quick pressure, through ball, first time finish again. Really can't take your eyes off this one 1 minute.
And it's so interesting to see because both teams scored their goals in different ways, but from nothing. Maryland with the high press gets the ball back and turns over one through ball and they're in. For Minnesota, it's a cross, and it's these late runs from the midfielders. That's why they have so many goals on the year, is these late runs from the midfielders coming into the box when it looks like there's nobody there, and those runs are so hard to track.
And you can kind of feel the energy shift a little bit following that Maryland goal. A bit more zip in the passes for the Terrapins. Great ball in behind. Days there, reads it well and prevents Van Loon from getting in behind. Here's Dressley. Venus coming back and doing the defending. And Maryland will play it forward through Days. Cesaroni fires it back into the mixer. Urban underneath of it. And Amelia Brown comes through. First time we've really said her name today, and she is fouled, according to center official Josh Kelly on the day.
Some of the Terp fans below us not agreeing with that call.
So a two-player wall for Maryland. This one is quite out there. A cluster of players at the left side of the D. Clip towards that group. In behind, a first-time shot. Didn't quite get it off. Minnesota claiming a deflection, and the referee agrees. So it'll be a corner kick for the Golden Gophers.
A little bit hectic in the box there from both teams as it finds its way to the Golden Gophers. A decent clipped ball in and just finds its way to Cesaroni, in fact, and just hits it. Maybe a little deflection leading to the corner, puts it wide.
Well, we talk about how dangerous Cesaroni is on set pieces. Here's one for Minnesota now. Towards the back post, and it's off the post. Sent back in, and Smith will watch this one go out of play. I believe that was Cesaroni with the header right on cue, and she just put it right square off the upright.
Great ball in, and Cesaroni does a great job peeling away from turnage at that back post to get herself free, and just hits the outside of the post. Really unlucky there.
If you're Maryland, you're taking a deep sigh of relief. Cesaroni, 5 goals on the season so far, and you just kind of saw how she separated herself from the defender a little bit, got that little bit of room to get her head on the end of the cross.
And a quality defender on set pieces like her just needs that little bit of space, that half chance to get it on target.
So Maryland will look to push forward now. Here's Schaefer. Sends it down the right channel. Here's Porch. Michaela Days is shifted over to the right-hand side. Porch, a little move, tries to send a cross in, but comfortable in the end for Pashko. Now the Golden Gophers looking to play out of the back. Ball over the top, in behind could be Minnesota, and Malike Days does very well to read the threat and cut that one out. Might have lost her boot in the process.
But there you see that recovery pace from Malike Days. So fast, so strong, so good on the ball. Just all you want in a center back.
Playing her 77th career game, Millie Days, for the Terrapins. Here's Overberg. Beautiful touch out of the air from Bowman. And this ball for Van Loon down the left-hand side in pursuit of Schaefer. An early ball into the center, and Smith does very well to read the threat. Long ball forward is brought down. Urban underneath of it for Maryland. And Catherine DeRosa has entered the game for Maryland, kind of in the fray of those last couple chances. Number 13 on the left-hand side from Westchester, Pennsylvania, and B. Reed Henderson High School. Will be a substitution for Minnesota, as well as Lauren Donovan entering the game for the Golden Gophers. Minnesota really does love to share the love out on the field, even when it comes to the start of the game. 20 players have featured so far for the Golden Gophers. 14 of them have made 5 or more starts this year. So Erin Chastain really comfortable with a lot of her players, a very deep bench as well, and trusting all those players to make a difference, either from the start or coming in later in the game. Ball into the center. Donovan is there fighting for it for Minnesota, and Days eventually able to get a foot to it. Still not clear yet, and Minnesota's whistled for a handball there. A bit unfortunate. We talk about that trust from Minnesota and Erin Chastain, their head coach. Like I said earlier on, if that last name sounds familiar, that's for a very good reason. Erin Chastain actually married the brother of Brandi Chastain, the infamous, legendary U.S. women's soccer player. And that's, you know, a not bad company to be in. And apparently Erin Chastain and Brandi are in constant communication almost weekly about this Minnesota team, kind of getting advice and guidance and things like that. And so, you know, not a bad person to have in your corner, that's for sure.
Not a bad person, not many better to talk to than Brandi Chastain, absolute legend of the game.
And so many people kind of in this women's soccer world have looked up to Brandi Chastain, everything she has done to progress the women's game, both in the U.S. and internationally as well. As the women's game really growing in the United States, and something you absolutely love to see and watch, and for us to be a part of as well. That one's deflected out of play off the foot of Millie Days, and Minnesota will have a corner kick. Last corner kick that the Golden Gophers had was a very dangerous header from Cesaroni that was only kept out by the post. So Van Loon will take the corner, and in swinging delivery from the right-hand side. Lofted towards the top of the 6-yard box. Cesaroni was underneath of it again. And according to Josh Kelly, last off a Maryland head. So they'll have it go from the other side this time.
And if you're Maryland now, there should be no mistake about it. You know that ball is going to number 12 anytime the Golden Gophers get a set piece. So mark her with 1, maybe even 2.
Tahir Turnage seems to have that assignment. One of, if not the tallest player on Maryland's team, at least on the field right now, standing at 5'11". Another in-swing delivery from the near side this time. Fizzed in with a bit more oomph on that one, and it's actually Cesaroni that has to chase it down on the far side. As we're under 9 minutes left in the first half, tied at 1 between Minnesota and Maryland. Sophia Romine opened the scoring with a stunning finish that we're very excited to show you again, because it means we get to see it again as well. And then Maryland answered a bit later on through Alyssa Porch, which was in itself a very, very good finish to the top right corner of the goal.
And for two teams in the bottom half of the Big Ten, 2 quality goals from today, and really a quality game overall.
Another ball over the top. Porch trying to get on the end of it. 1 goal so far today, and that was very well defended by the Minnesota back line. That was Overberg coming over to cover from her left center back spot. Only 1 player in the box for Maryland at the moment. And that's kept in by Minnesota. It would have been last off them in a Maryland corner, but do very well to keep that in play and lob it all the way up. But to nobody in particular, as Millie Days will run this down for the Terps. That's a high ball. Mia Isaac tries to bring it down. It was a bit of a heavy touch off a lofted ball. Never an easy task, and Megan Gray now has it, trying to get around Schaefer. Isaac recovering on the edge of the box, and that one skews off the foot of Gray and goes out for a Maryland goal kick. Megan Gray, the graduate student from Ankeny, Iowa. 15 games, 12 starts on the season. Does have 2 assists to her name, but not yet registering a goal. Quickly played forward. Michaela Days now, like we said, operating from the right-hand side. Does very well to escape the pressure. Dressley in pursuit now as Days coming forward with a head of steam, trying to get a bit of separation, and just loses control of that when it goes out of play. That's what you want from one of your experienced leaders, just kind of taking on that challenge and driving that ball forward and driving the Maryland team forward.
Yeah, for one of your most experienced players, as we're going to see here, great work from Michaela Days, just all-out effort, and that's all you can ask for. That's all Megan Ryan Nemser asked for from her players, is just put all their effort and confidence into the system. Unlucky to lose out there.
Going to see another Maryland substitution momentarily. And the flag is up on the near side once again against Maryland. See there, Maryland being called offside 3 times so far in this game. I think that kind of goes to show how they've been playing. They've been trying to find that ball over top, that ball in behind a bit more. So we're going to see Brooke Weston enter the game for Maryland, the senior from Ohio. Weston struggled with injury in her time at Maryland, but her 4th appearance of the season. She will slot into that Maryland midfield. Ball out to the far side and brought down very well in the end. Here is Weston. Turnage, a good little move there. Terps trying to keep possession. That one does ricochet out for a throw. Pretty good turnout today as well on a Sunday afternoon. You see the crowd across on the other side of the field, but right in front of us as well. Very good turnout. We talked about some of the youth players in attendance as well, but the last opportunity for Maryland fans to see their team at home this season as Minnesota drives forward. Threaded ball down the right-hand side. One runner in the center, another trailing run. We saw what happened last time Minnesota had one of those. It was finished into the corner with a plum from Romine. And Maryland draws the foul on the far side. So we're under 4 minutes left here in the first half. Be sure to stick with us at halftime as we take a look into Maryland women's soccer all access. We take a look at Malike and Michaela Days, the 2 twin sisters that have been such a big part of this Maryland program for so many years. We'll also take a look back at the first half and those stunning 2 goals that we saw for both sides, because those are goals you're going to want to watch over and over again. So be sure to stick with us here at halftime on Big Ten Plus. Sophia Bargeste comes into the game off the bench for Minnesota for the final couple minutes of this first half. And 3 minutes left to play here in the first. You got to think both teams will really push to try to get a goal to put them ahead going into the locker room. Not only does that give your team such momentum, but it can be really demoralizing for the opposition to concede right before the break. Clipped into the center, taken off the midriff here. And it stays with the Golden Gophers. Dressley surveying her options, has one right in front of her, doesn't want to go there. Does so in the end eventually. That was Romine shouting for it just a few feet away. Dressley first times it down the near sideline. Amanda Schaefer gets a foot to it and puts it into touch. We approach 2 minutes left in the first half. Kaya Harper was going to take it, but eventually leaves it for her captain, Dressley. Last off Schaefer and out for a Minnesota throw-in. Venus lays it off. Days tries to keep it in, does so well. Here's Julie Lynch, a great move to get around her defender, but a bit of a heavy touch in the end, and the play breaks down. Ball in behind here, and the flag was up on the near side anyway.
Great feet here from Lynch. Just flicks it over a defender so easily, and then this next touch just gets away from her, hits off more of her knee than the top of her thigh, which she would have liked, but great work nonetheless.
Sometimes one of those moments you make this brilliant move and you're so eager because you see the open field in front of you, and at times that touch can let you down just a little bit. A minute left to play here in the first half. And Maryland whistled for a foul on the far side. It was Sydney Urban, the culprit. The Golden Gophers will look to take this last chance and pack the box. Talked about how dangerous they are on set pieces. We've said it time and time again, especially Cesaroni, but a lot of other targets in there as well that could find the goal to fire Minnesota into the lead. It'll be an outswing delivery from right inside the touchline. Whip towards the center. There's the header. There's the goal. Cesaroni finds the back of the net with 15 seconds to go in the half. The 6th goal of the season for the center back. And the Golden Gophers have a 2-1 lead over Maryland right before the break.
And as you said earlier, Brendan, this one will be just demoralizing for the Terps and ecstasy for the Golden Gophers. It's the most dangerous player on the pitch on set pieces for either side, and she has an open header. You expect her to find the goal every single time. If you're Megan Ryan Nemser, you're asking yourself, how are we leaving her that wide open, that close to the net?
If there's one player, like you said, that you don't want to have a free header, it is Gabby Cesaroni. 6th goal of the season for the center back. Almost all of them coming off of set pieces. And Maryland has 15 seconds in the first half to find a reply, and this is going to be a very different halftime team talk for Megan Ryan Nemser. That was Kaya Harper that served the ball in as well, and it was a fantastic service. So that is not the end of the first half that we expected, with Minnesota taking the lead 15 seconds before the intermission. We saw a lot of really great goals in this first half. All to play in the second half, though. Talked about Maryland wanting to bounce back from that performance midweek against number 20 Ohio State, where they finished on the rough end of a 7-0 loss. But certainly, you know, you look at this performance today, and it certainly doesn't look like a team that lost 7-0. Here's Porch, Days to run through the middle. And that one will be cleaned up in the back by Minnesota. A very lively start for Maryland, just taking the ball straight down the throat of the Minnesota defense to start the second half.
And of note to start the second half, Morales comes back in, but DeRosa stays in, which is who Morales came off for. And the notable change is that Alina Stahl is not out here in that number 9 position for the Terps. It looks like it's Porch taking that position.
Leading scorer for Maryland at not starting the second half, and you saw, you know, trying to get the combination. Porch just didn't quite have enough oomph on that pass to get it through the center for Days. If
you're Coach Nemser, that's exactly how you want to start this half. Pressure, driving at that back line of the Golden Gophers.
Setting the tone early for the second half. So a whistle against the Terrapins, and Minnesota will have the restart from the far side of the field. This one a lot further out than the ones that the Golden Gophers have been dangerous on so far today. Can't rule it out. Dressley delivers towards the top of the box. Flicked on. A battle at the back post now. That's Megan Gray. Drops it back to Abby Franzen. Haven't said her name too much. She's deployed it right back for Minnesota. Seemed like the Terps were having a lot of success down the left-hand side in the first half. Comfortably intercepted by Maryland, but right back to Minnesota. Gray whips it in towards the top of the box with the right foot. And Isaac clears that one only as far as Amelia Brown. And so Maryland draws the foul this time. We'll have a chance to push the team forward. Have a look there at Catherine DeRosa, whose last goal for Maryland was October 14th, 2021, but she does have 3 assists on the season so far this year.
Very technical player who loves to get on the ball, loves to drift inside from those wide positions and pick it up and drive at defenders.
Joined the Maryland team early, actually, a couple years ago during that, strange COVID year where there was the spring season and things like that. So she's been around the program now in her junior year. This one rolls across the touchline on the near side. Lofted throw by Turnage. No Terrapins in the vicinity. Here's Isaac. Squares that one for Amanda Schaefer. And that one's played down the line for Maryland. 2 runners into the box. Drop back out. Schaefer fizzes it along the ground. Here's Porch trying to turn. On the left foot, has it blocked. And cleared by Minnesota. Schaefer escapes pressure, goes to Isaac. And back to Millie Days. Does very well to evade pressure, but Terrapin's not quite on the same wavelength as that one goes into touch.
Here's that chance for Alyssa Porch. Ball just finds her, trying to turn that to get it onto her left foot, and good defense from the Golden Gophers in the end, getting multiple bodies in the way.
I was going to say, you just saw how compact they were at the back, and they do very much get forward, but as soon as that ball turns over, like you said, getting bodies behind the ball. So the referee has stopped the clock here on the far side, and we're going to see a yellow card issued, our first of the afternoon. Couldn't quite make out who that was on. It might be Catherine DeRosa, as she was the one closest to the referee protesting the yellow card. Josh Kelly, the head official today. Done a pretty good job so far. We don't often comment. A lot of times the refereeing comes up when it's in the negative, and, credit where credit's due. He's let the players play so far today, and that's the first yellow card of the game.
Yeah, when you don't hear the referee's name on the broadcast, it's usually a good thing, as we see the foul here from Days just coming through the back, and an easy decision for the referee.
Right, so that's Malika Days' 6th yellow card of the season so far. Already served the suspension, 5 accumulation of yellow cards. You're out for 1 game. Already served that a couple games ago and picks up her 6th. Comes with the territory being a center back, especially in the way that Maryland plays so aggressively. Here's Gray for Minnesota. Lays it off. Romine has a shot that's blocked by Urban. Comes out to the near side and can't quite keep it in. That was Sophia Romine, the first goal scorer of the day for the Golden Gophers. Started 2 games last year as a sophomore, but played in 19, so she comes in having a lot of that experience, and she's played and started every game for the Golden Gophers so far this season. Now 3 goals, 2 assists to her name on the campaign. And Maryland will be whistled for the foul. Mia Isaac, the culprit. So this is a dangerous set-piece opportunity for Minnesota, around the same place that Cesaroni got the goal right before halftime, and that's called a foul. Anything in that for you, Josh?
Maybe a little arm tug, but not enough for a player to go down and give a foul. But nonetheless, a dangerous set piece for the Golden Gophers, and have to look for number 12 in the box here.
Harper with the delivery towards the back post. That one loose on the ground. A big save by Smith. It trickled its way to the back post, and she might have caught that one right in the midriff as she is slow to her feet. And the referee will stop the clock. Maddie Smith, the senior goalkeeper from Omaha, Nebraska for the Terrapins. Kind of looks like she just got the wind knocked out of her.
Yeah, ball falls here, and she makes herself big, falls right into her midriff. Looked like it just hit her stomach. Hopefully the wind just gets knocked out of her here. She catches it square in the center of her chest.
And that shot had a bit of pace behind it as well. She's back up to her feet, grabs a sip of water, and looks like she'll be okay to continue. Training staff is just going to come out and take a quick look. Maddie Smith making her 10th start of the season for Maryland so far. Emery Wegener, the other goalkeeper, the grad transfer from Johns Creek, Georgia. Played in 5 contests so far this season. So while we wait for this stoppage of play, we want to point you in the direction of tomorrow night. A big matchup happening right on this very field between Maryland and High Point in men's soccer. It'll be right here on Big Ten Plus. You see Emery Wegener starting to loosen up, but right there, that's the big one as Maryland starts to wind down the season. Maryland 7th in the country, and it's 7 p.m. tomorrow night on Big Ten Plus.
Maryland men's team coming off a disappointing tie to the Wisconsin Badgers at home. Always want to win your home games in the Big Ten, and we'll look to bounce back tomorrow night against a quality High Point team.
Maryland on a pretty good undefeated stretch at the moment. Friday night was Maryland head coach Sasha Surowski's birthday. Not quite the birthday that Sasha would have wanted, getting that draw. But a long season to go for the Maryland Terrapins as we're back underway here for the women's game. Smith fine to continue and plays that one forward without issue. Porch will chase this one down, and that's Overberg who draws the foul. Porch just a bit too eager and goes into the back of the Minnesota defender. Alyssa Porch, she has the goal in this game, her 3rd of the season. And, she missed all of last year, or almost all of last year. She only played 4 games last season. And so to bounce back in your final year, that's really something that Maryland, and Megan Ryan Nemser having that continuity. Coming in as a new head coach, you rely on those players that have been here for a while. And Alyssa Porch certainly is one of those as she chases down another ball into the corner.
I think that's a testament to the character of Porch. It would have been very easier to say, look, I had an injury. I'm not really trying to push myself. I don't really need to play this extra year. I think I'm gonna call it there, but Megan Ryan Nemser comes in and she decides to take the opposite stance of, you know what, let me show the new kids on the block how it's done, how we do it here at Maryland, and help Coach Nemser transition.
So Maryland will have their first corner kick of the game. It will come from the far side of the field. Julie Lynch will trot over to take this one. Kind of one of the set piece specialists that Maryland has on the season. So it'll be an outswing delivery from the junior out of Baltimore, Maryland. Those Maryland attackers clustered just outside of the 6-yard box. Lynch with the delivery towards the center and comfortably claimed in the end by Megan Plashko. Does very well to pull that one out of the sky.
Just a little too much height on that one from Lynch. Gives Pleshko the time to get under this one nicely in a good area for her to get up and go get it.
A confident claim by the senior goalkeeper out of Eagan, Minnesota. And that's Sophia Bowman who was whistled for the foul. Or they're going to change it, actually. Not quite sure the reason for. And the referee's going to stop the clock just as we kind of clear up the change here. He originally whistled in the direction of Maryland for a hold. and then change that to Minnesota perhaps for the hold. Maybe he saw the wrong arm grabbing the other arm. I'm not quite sure. But what I do know is that Minnesota has a set piece here, and they are quite dangerous from those set pieces. Megan Ryan Nemser still trying to get a clear answer on what happened there. But Maryland has to turn around and defend this set piece. Cesaroni plays that into the box. Scooped back into the danger area, and Maryland clears through Urban.
Terps probably thankful there that it was Cesaroni on the set piece and not trying to get on the end of the set piece that time.
It's one of those ones that might have been a bit too deep to actually serve in for a header. As Porch tries to get around, Cesaroni almost does. Couldn't quite get on the kind end of that ball. It was a dummy there from Sophia Romine, but it just went to a Maryland midfielder. Here's Turnage trying to paint the line for days. It's intercepted by Abby Franzen, a junior out of Monticello, Minnesota. Here's Beisman. Poked out by Amanda Schaefer. Here's Urban. Tries to clip it forward, but to nobody in particular. Here's Gray. Goes back to Cesaroni. Ball over the top. It's a race as Smith gets there, tries to clear it, and eventually it goes out. It will be a goal kick. It was tough to see who that actually came out or came off of as Smith came out of her goal.
Very aggressive play from the goalkeeper. She was quick off her line. It looks like she did get her foot there first, as we're going to see it here again. Maybe the other way, in fact, and Smith may be a little lucky to get away with one there.
Did seem as she missed the ball, and Beisman was the one that got the foot to it. But nonetheless, we carry on with Smith's goal kick. Days fizzes it forward off the chest here. And an early ball over the top. Porch in pursuit. And Patch goes there to scoop it up. Day's clever to get under that one, and Isaac picks it up and goes back to her goalkeeper. Cesaroni with the header down. And last off, Michaela Days. Schaefer comes over to cover. And it does go out of play in the end. So Minnesota moves forward with their throw-in. Franzer the throw into the box. Couple touches there, and it squeaks out to the far side, but it's cleared by Maryland. And Cesaroni does very well to step in front, but then loses her footing and loses the ball, and Maryland could be coming the other way. Here's Michaela Days on the left-hand side. Has Porch running through the middle, an early ball, and Overberg does well to cover. Porch still in pursuit. That one goes out of play, will be a goal kick. Saying it last came off of Porch.
It's good work here from the Terps, forcing the turnover as Days tries to play this ball early into the path of Porch and just a little bit too far ahead of her. And just wondering, if you're Michaela Days, do you want to give your team a little bit of time to get forward there, get some more numbers in the box, maybe drive further to that end line next time?
There really wasn't anybody else in support other than Porch who made that run through the center of the pitch.
And, you know, it's one thing to play that ball if you see your attacker ahead of the last defender, or you see them in a little bit of space on the back post. Maybe not the ball to play when she's right next to the shoulder of her defender.
When they have a bit of room to do something and receive that pass rather than kind of gambling on that ball coming off in your favor. Last off the Golden Gophers, and it'll be a Maryland throw through turnage. We're going to see the re-entrance of Lauren Donovan for Minnesota in just a minute. And Maryland will win the foul in their attacking half and push some bodies forward. It'll be Millie Days standing over top of it. As her twin sister down the left-hand side, but Maryland packing some bodies right at the top of the 18-yard box. Lofted in that direction. Under it was Turnage, and that will skip through and eventually cleared by Minnesota for a Maryland throw-in.
Really quality ball there from Millie Days that somehow bounces without anybody touching it. Just if you're Maryland, you want someone to be there to get that touch on it, at least keep it alive in the 18.
Sophie Venus will come back into the game for Maryland, replacing Julie Lynch. And we'll see, like I said, Lauren Donovan back into the game for Minnesota, joined by Sadie Harper. Here's Porch. Tries to thread it into the corner. Maryland still has possession. Schaefer whips a delicious ball into the back post. Porch tries to get under it. Couldn't quite make contact. Isaac has it first time, deflects around, and eventually cleared towards the center. Only as far as Turnage for Maryland, and they'll back things out and reset. Isaac drops it back. Good little touch there through the midfield. A through ball. Porch was making a good run in behind, but it was cut out by Cesaroni. Golden Gophers not clear yet, as here's Donovan. Goes through the legs, but Michaela Days, you know, if you get beat through the legs, you try to win that one back as best you can, and she does just that. As it's out to the far side now. Clip towards the center. And Maryland could have something on here towards the middle. And it was a bit too tall for Porch as it goes over top of everybody and out on the near side. But it came last off Minnesota, so Maryland will have the throw-in in their corner. The referee at least signaled for it. And, yep, he will stick with that.
That was some really good link-up play from the Terps, as it almost seemed kind of hectic at times, but really good flick-ons and 1-2s, as it was Morales who gets the ball here to Venus, and Venus just gets a little bit too much height on that one, but took a deflection. The Terps will keep it in the attacking third.
DeRosa tried to play it into the middle, was a bit too low and cut out easily by the Golden Gophers. Urban heads it back in the direction from which it came. Here's Harper. Turnage tried to get a foot in there, but goes into the midfield and back out to the near side for Abby Franzen. Long ball over the top, comfortable for Urban to get her head to it. Flicked on by DeRosa and once again by Porch. And Porch will be whistled for the foul. A bit of shove in the back of Donovan.
And none of the fans below us, none of the coaches below us in the Maryland technical area very happy with that call, as we're going to see it here. And just that pressure that we see from the Terps, and really not much in that one at all.
Referee was letting the players play a bit more freely earlier in the game. Seems to have kind of tightened that up just a little bit here in the second half. And Venus was slow to release that pass, but Maryland does win it back. And here's Michaela Days. Tries to turn the corner and does so on Franzen, but without the ball.
You can maybe see Megan Ryan-Nemsen there clapping Michaela Days on. That's what you want from your wide players. You want them to be aggressive and taking on their defender if they're isolated one-on-one.
Maryland with a bit more of an aggressive press here, as we're under half an hour left in this game. Terps still trailing by a goal. Maryland will have the foul call go in their favor this time. Days again stands over this one from right inside her own half and put that one a bit too much down the middle. It's always a very tough angle on those kinds of free kicks. I mean, you're right inside your own half. It's tough to serve it exactly where you want it in the box, but still get the, oomph behind it to get it there as well.
Yeah, that's one of those where you kind of want to line everyone up on that back post and just hope to hit that one of those big floaters that gets headed back across the net.
Schaefer paints the line. Here's Venus. Tries to dribble out of trouble. Now Mia Isaac. Really that deep lying playmaker for the Terrapins. Turnage can't quite catch up with it as the pass from Isaac was too far behind her. Bit of a collision there, but a 50-50 ball deemed by the referee. Now Days through the center. Can't quite get the pass off. Here's DeRosa. Good little feint there. Finds the feet of Porch. In behind for Maryland. It's Morales in pursuit, but eventually into the waiting grasp of Megan Plaschko. Defended very well by Elena Dressley, it has to be said.
Some good footwork and some quality passes from Maryland. They look more likely for the equalizer right now than the Golden Gophers look like for their third, as DeRosa found Porch's feet and Porch was looking for that run of Morales, just couldn't get around her defender in time.
Dressley did very well with the body positioning to kind of cut off that lane to the ball. Goes all the way back to Plaschko. Maryland will have the throw in from the far side of the field now. Throw in here for Porch, trying to get around the corner of a defender, and the ball's a bit too strong and goes out for a goal kick. So Josh, as we approach halfway through the second half now, I checked in with you halfway through the first half. You kind of alluded to it a second ago, but Maryland seeming like the more likely to get those opportunities as the ball has been kind of in Maryland's half, or their attacking half, for large spells in the past couple minutes.
I'd look for these next 5 to 10 minutes. Terps look to be a little more aggressive. Don't really want to go into those last 10 minutes of the game where you need a goal. You don't want to get to desperation time. So you'd like to have that equalizer sooner rather than later so you could go after it.
And if you're Minnesota, how do you protect this lead?
Maybe try to absorb it a little bit, absorb the pressure, and try to hit the Terps in the counterattack, because you haven't had much of the ball at all in this second half.
I believe that's Amelia Brown who is sprawled there, and I think there was a card that might have come out as well. Brown, the freshman from Cary, North Carolina, wearing the number 25. Her dad, Chucky, actually played 13 years in the NBA and won an NBA championship with the Houston Rockets. Her sister, Izzy Brown, also on the team, a senior. The freshman and senior getting to play together, and that yellow card does come for Catherine DeRosa. So second Terp in the book. And Cesaroni will take this restart, as Minnesota has provided some bodies forward. Pretty good ball towards the top of the box and thumped away by Maryland. Foot race here. Michaela Days in pursuit. Franzen trying to do the defending, and Days goes to ground, and Franzen will watch that one roll out for a throw-in. Isaac pokes it forward. Porch brings it down. Now Days. Porch tries to play the ball forward for Venus, and that one, again, a bit too strong. Referee Josh Kelly kind of trots over just to have a bit of a word with Megan Ryan-Nemser, who feels the last couple calls have been a bit harsh against her team. She has 2 players in the book. Some questionable foul calls going in both directions, it has to be said. Days gets under it. Porch tries a nifty little turn, but it doesn't quite come off. Underneath of it is Sadie Harper. Rolls it out for Megan Gray, who tucks back into the midfield. Excuse me, that's Lauren Donovan wearing the number 11. Turnage gets under it. Last off Minnesota, Maryland throwing going forward. Halfway gone in this second half, Maryland still trailing by a goal, 2-1. All 3 goals have been of the utmost quality in this game so far. It started with Sophia Romine's first time finish into the back of the net, beating Smith. Maryland retaliated with an Alyssa Porch goal into the top shelf from close range. And then right before halftime, Gabby Cesaroni fired Minnesota back into the lead with a header off a great set-piece delivery. Saw the return of Krista Van Loon, the junior from Rowlett, Texas, for Minnesota. Last off turnage and a Minnesota throw-in. Throwing down the line, and Harper able to escape Urban. A good service towards the back post, a bit too tall for Schaefer. It falls down into the box, trickles through everyone, and eventually cleared by Urban.
Just wonder how that first cross gets through everybody, but also that second one, kind of a mishit shot, but rolls back through the entire defense, and Terp's probably lucky to not concede a third on either of those chances.
Ball out to the near side from Patchko. Take another look here at that service into the box, and like I said, it was a bit too tall for Schaefer. A scuffed shot through everybody again. Eventually, Urban just says anywhere will do. And so that foul call goes in favor of Maryland.
Good work from DeRosa here, just getting her body in front of the ball and winning a foul that was maybe another soft call, but referee has made it clear that in this second half he's going to call every little thing.
It's easy for us when we have replay, it must be said. Van Loon chasing it down on the far side and tries to skip it around Schaefer, but a bit too heavy. It goes out for a Maryland throw-in. Gorgeous weather for this game, it must be said. I think, you know, for Maryland's final home game of the season, you really couldn't ask for much better here in College Park.
Sun is out, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just perfect weather for some footy.
68 degrees, a crisp early fall. Is it early fall, mid-October? In Maryland, it could be early fall, it could be late summer. Who knows at this point? But regardless, we're comfortable, players are comfortable, and we've had an incredible game to watch here today. We thank you so much for joining us on your Sunday afternoon. What really has been a pretty big sports day, especially in the world of football, soccer, however you want to look at it. We had El Clasico today, Real Madrid and Barcelona. Go over to the Premier League. You had Liverpool and Manchester City, 2 of the powerhouses there as well. Even in France, it was PSG and Olympique Marseille battling it out. We wouldn't want to be anywhere else but College Park and Ludwig Field, as Maryland driving forward, and they have the throw-in. Maryland faithful and bench feeling they should have been awarded a foul and free kick.
Venus probably realizing that the referee has been calling a little thing, trying to do a little bit of acting on her own and try and get a foul call. Doesn't get it there.
Bit of gamesmanship, but all legal in the rule book. Venus tries to get under it. Donovan slices it away. And that one had a bit of backspin. Falls comfortably for Morales. DeRosa feeds it in. Turnage. And Franzen does very well to get her body in front and plays it back to her keeper. And now Minnesota could be on the break here. Driving forward the Golden Gophers. And very, very well defended by Millie Days, who was fouled in the process, but Sophia Bowman, who already has 4 goals on the season, look to be breaking away. Here's Isaac. Days in pursuit again. And does very well again. You know, it has to be said, Porch has the goal for Maryland, but if you're looking for, a player of the game for the Terps, look no further than Millie Days in the back, who has come up time and time again with good defensive interventions that really have kept Maryland in this game. It could be a lot worse at that point.
And those last two plays just perfectly define a term that I love, which is a Rolls-Royce center back. She's got pace, she's got strength, and she is excellent on the ball. Just three things that she checks off perfectly for any center back anywhere in the country.
Especially in the college game, having somebody so complete at that crucial position, it really goes a long way. And so we talked a couple times about the players that Megan Ryan-Nemser has inherited, from Maryland. Both of the Day sisters, Porch, but that rock at the back, that's really something that helps build that spine, that core of your team. Kept in by Sadie Harper. Falls to Amelia Brown. Left-footed ball over the top, and Smith will be out to claim. Sadie Harper and Kaya Harper both in the game now, playing right next to each other. Obviously, they're both related, but they also wear the inverse number. Sadie Harper, number 43, Kaya Harper, number 34. Don't know if that was by design, but it seems like, too much of a coincidence to not be that. And we will see the re-entrance of Alina Stahl for Maryland. Started this game, and I don't think she's played in the second half yet, has she? No. And then we see the re-entrance of Julie Lynch as well.
Looks like it's Michaela Days and Ava Morales coming off, and you got to imagine, at least in terms of Michaela Days, this is just a quick 5-minute rest, and she'll be right back on to chase this equalizer if the Terps don't find it. Yeah,
16 minutes left in this game. That's when you just kind of want to get a breather and put that star player back in for the home stretch of this game, especially when trailing by a goal. Gone a little quiet on the Maryland chances for the past couple moments. It seemed like they were stringing together quite a few, and now Minnesota has had some good looks and good spells of possession themselves.
But it has been from exactly what we've expected. They've sat back a little more, kind of tried to absorb that pressure from the Terps, and then look to get it out quickly as they did there. Just doesn't find the outlet, but look to get it out quickly and find a counter-attacking option.
Isaac tried to put one into the box, but couldn't quite find any of her teammates. Closest to it was Catherine DeRosa. Taken down by Donovan. And Catherine DeRosa will be whistled for the foul. Amelia Brown, the victim of the challenge.
And now this is one of those situations where if you're DeRosa, you have to realize how the referee has been calling this game, because you are on that yellow card. If he finds you for a couple more infractions, you might find yourself with a second booking. So just trying to be a little bit smarter there.
And Minnesota and Gabby Cesaroni trying to take some liberties with the placement of that ball. A little overhead pass there that almost came off for Minnesota. Would have been on par for the types of goals and sequences we've had in this game as Millie Days goes sliding in. Again, she's also on a yellow card. But Maryland comes up with it and looks to bring the cavalry forward. Porch does very well with the body to get around Dressley. Now Alina Stahl sent on a run. Overberg puts it out of play on the far side. That's Stahl battling in the corner. And it eventually goes off of her and out for a goal kick. And now we will have a substitution for Minnesota. Coming back into the game is Sophia Romine, who got a bit of a rest there as well. The goal scorer that opened the contest and really just, you know, we've seen it a couple times now, and it's the buildup of that play too. It's an incredible finish as well, with that quick kind of sequence, the ball in, and then just that timing on the finish is, you know, out of a video game almost.
Timing on the finish and the timing on the run. When you look at that replay,
Yeah.
the Gophers looked like they only had one option in the box, and then that late run and just a beautiful finish that you can't even imagine better.
And I believe Millie Days was whistled for a handball there that might have bounced up unfavorably. So now it'll be another set piece opportunity for Minnesota, of which they have had many in this contest. Only been able to capitalize on one so far. They had another that ricocheted off the post. Cesaroni is forward for this one. And the referee does eventually stop the clock after a long time setting up that ball. Now this one driven towards the center. A lot of bodies falling there, and eventually Maryland able to clear, but it does go out for a corner kick. Not quite able to wrap her foot around that one and put it out for a throw-in. I believe that might have been Julie Lynch.
Lots of bodies go up for this one as we see Schaefer and Cesaroni both come down hard. Good to see them get up quickly.
It's the corner kick to be taken by Bowman. It'll be an out swinger this time. A low drive towards the near post, and it goes just over top. A great look for Minnesota. And that was Lauren Donovan.
Looked like one straight off the training ground, that one. A low driven one into the near post. And it is Donovan who just gets on and tries to get that little flick, just can't quite wrap her foot around it, and leaning back slightly, put slightly off balance by her defender as well. Give credit where credit is due, but good chance there for the Golden Gophers to get their third.
Turnage not able to read that header too well, and it goes out of play. So Minnesota again will be able to bring bodies forward. Maryland struggling to retain possession over the last couple of moments. And Urban again ushers it out, this time for a throw-in. And again, another Minnesota throw-in right in their corner. And all these throw-ins just continue to take time off the clock as we tick down towards 10 minutes to go. Venus gets under it and clears to the far side. The Terps will be able to step up. Sophie Venus applying the pressure, almost comes up with it. The Golden Gophers will be able to reset at the back. Cesaroni, a long ball over the top, and trying to get in on the receiving end, I believe, was Bowman.
And that's just another one of those runs from those playmaking midfielders of the Golden Gophers, trying to get in behind, create that secondary run off the shoulder of your striker. It was a good look, honestly, as it just floats over the head of Urban, but Millie Days there again to just recover and see the ball into the grateful arms of Maddie Smith.
It's putting in that channel between the outside back and the center back. The teams can really kind of exploit a defense. Deflected header. And now a foot race here, and Millie Days again. Cannot be beat at the back.
And we saw there, it was Sadie Harper who tried to get into a foot race with Millie Days, and giving advice to any Big Ten attacker out there, that's probably not a foot race you want to get into.
Not a chance. Here's Urban, looks to clear. very well read by Donovan. Never a bad last name to have in American soccer either. No relation as far as we know. Couple Terrapins waiting in the wings. Set to return. It will be Ava Morales and Michaela Days. We tick down to 8.5 minutes left in this contest. Here's Kaya Harper. Through ball to her sister. And again, who else? Millie Days. Does very well to shield that one out of play, but is the victim of a foul. Maryland might rather have the goal kick, move it 6 yards further forward.
Just great work from Days to get her body in front of the ball there and either know she was going to win a goal kick or win a foul. But as you said, probably want the goal kick in this situation and not the foul, because this foul is probably going to be right on the end line. But Maddie Smith taking a few liberties, moving a couple yards up.
At that point, might as well. Kaya Harper gets under it. Maryland wins it back. Sophie Venus plays all the way back to Millie Days and goes out to the right back, Schaefer. Haven't seen her able to bomb on forward too much from a right back spot here in the second half. She is able to provide very good service into the box, but the wide players for Minnesota have kind of been pinning the Maryland fullbacks back a little bit. And here come the substitutions that we mentioned. Michaela Days in for Catherine DeRosa. And Sophie Venus comes out to be replaced by Ava Morales. Here's Isaac, plays it back to Urban. The Terps will look to shift the point of attack. Fizzing ball out to Michaela Days. She does well to get that one under control. Has the overlap from Turnage coming. And Lynch is dispossessed. Urban now in the foot race. Millie Days coming over to support. That's Sadie Harper. Drops it back to Bowman. We are at 6.5 minutes to play in this game. Minnesota still in the lead 2-1. And they will take it to the corner and try to see as much time out as they can as they win a corner kick. Not only a good way to take some time off the clock, but if you don't elect to go short, you have a pretty good target, Gabby Cesaroni, in there who could give you the insurance goal. Does look like they might go short, though, with Kaya Harper there as well. A deft little touch, and that one goes out again for a Minnesota throw-in this time.
With 6 minutes to go, you're already seeing them go to the corner flag. Maybe a bit surprising, but when you're up 2-1 and you're in desperate need of a win, anything will do.
Doesn't always have to be pretty. I mean, the goals have been fantastic, but how you close out the game, hey, anything will do. But it looks like Maryland has won the foul, or excuse me, won the throw-in, and Turnage will take it. Here's Michaela Days. There's the turn that we've come to know from Michaela Days in Big Ten soccer. She tries to drive through the Minnesota midfield, has it taken off of her. Will stay with Maryland and the throw-in. Days a bit slow up to her feet, which is a concern for Maryland in the closing moments of the game. Here's Porch. Does drop it off to Days, who's back up on her feet. And threads the pass, but it's cut out by Brown in the midfield. Long ball, there's Abby Franzen, who heads away. Urban steps up, and that pass a bit behind Harper. Now clipped forward. And Sydney Urban is whistled for the foul. And didn't exactly have a positive reaction to that foul call, we can say.
I think just a little bit frustrated because the ball was played behind Harper, so she really has nowhere to go to get the ball, but Urban did come a little bit across the attacker and clipped her, and it's going to be a foul every time.
Approaching 4 minutes left in the game. This one again taken to the corner by the Golden Gophers. They look to bury their way into a win. Now Maryland looking to drive forward. There's Elena Dressley. Cut out by Brown. Poked forward by Isaac, but couldn't quite wrap her foot around it to keep it in play as we are approaching 3.5 minutes left in the contest.
And now we're getting to the time that we talked about in the beginning of the half where you don't want it to get to desperation time, where you have to get desperate to look for the equalizer and kind of start risking your numbers forward and pushing players into positions that they're not used to playing. But you have 3.5 minutes to go to get a win and stay in contention for the Big Ten tournament, and you got to start taking risks now.
And you at least want to build some momentum, finish that season very strong. The first under a head coach can be so important to, the second season, everything that you're able to build after that. So Maddie Smith will look to drive this forward as quickly as she can. We're under 3 minutes to go. Amanda Schaefer will have the throw in for Maryland. 2.5 minutes left in the game. Reminder that even if Maryland was to tie this game up, there's no overtime in the regular season in college soccer as of this year. 90 minutes, and that is it. Minnesota wins it back up the field and looks to drive towards the left-hand side. Days again across to snuff out the danger. Throw in by Dressley. Lynch picks it up in the middle of the park, clips it out to the right. Knotted down favorably, and Maryland looks to drive forward. Under 2 minutes to play. Here's Michaela Days. Tries to cut it onto her left foot, and it's tackled away very well. And eventually pumped down the right-hand side. .90 seconds left in this game. Maryland trailing by a goal. Lynch flicks it on. Michaela Days again up in the air. Terps have kind of vacated the center of the pitch, and Bowen brings it down, lobs it forward, and flag has stayed down for the time being, and it will continue to stay down as Turnage defends in the corner. A minute left. Maryland has a throw-in deep, deep in their own half. Again, Maryland just trying to move it up the field as quickly as they can. Days in trouble on the near side. Again, a Maryland throw, but not where you want it to be if you're a Terps fan. Days does well to shield and just drives it forward. Overberg with the header. Brought down and again sent to the near side. 20 seconds to go. And it's with Maryland's goalkeeper. She bowls it out and will send this one forward. 10 seconds left for Maryland. Minnesota looking to cling onto this lead and move them further into the conversation for the Big Ten tournament. And that's our game. It was an enthralling contest on a Sunday afternoon as we begin to wind down Big Ten women's soccer play. And Josh, when we look at this game, it was excellent goals, excellent play, and just Minnesota was that good.